Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think the audience in this case knows who they are, but anybody else that happens to hear this is welcome to hear it. For reasons of privacy, I will not describe the setting of this conversation, the time nor the place. I will describe the topic and context of the conversation. And this was regarding Somalis and intermarriage with non-Somalis. And the question was raised, and it's an interesting question. Why does the Somali community react a whole lot less to Somali men marrying non-Somali women than they react to Somali women marrying non-Somali men? And there were different answers, of course. Some said, well, it's because it's just traditional to view women as the possession of men. And others say it's just strictly double standard because men are this way by nature. And others say, well, it has to do with what the children are going to be. And others said that it has to do with different reasons, and everyone had their opinions, and this is normal. However, I will say this. With no support for sexism in either direction, be it feminism or male chauvinism, with no support for either one, since we follow Islam and Allah is just and doesn't oppress color nor gender. I would say that when you tackle a situation like this, you have to understand that there are three elements to identity that the Somalis belong to. The Somalis have an ethnic identity within their race. And no race is completely the same across the board anyway. All races come in different tribes. Some tribes are mixed race. That's normal. The Somalis also have a racial identity. They're black. And then the Somalis have a religious identity. They're Muslim. And the Islamic identity is supposed to supersede the other identities anyway. The Islamic identity is supposed to be more important, and therefore the rules that Allah has revealed are supposed to be more important than cultural rules. I tend to agree with this statement. I myself do not give a rat's behind about culture when Islam is already more important, when Islam has been revealed and there is a ruling on the subject. Therefore, I don't care. As I teach in this Gulf nation, I do not care how long the people have been cheating in this region in order to get by. No matter how long they've been cheating, I don't care. I don't forgive them. I don't tolerate it. And I don't respect it. And I don't say, well, they're just doing it because they're used to it. I say they're a bunch of rats behind cheaters. They need to stop this mess. And they definitely need to quit talking about Islam and other parts of their life, and then they turn around and they cheat. Because when they cheat, if I catch them cheating, that means it's not a secret. When we sin, we're supposed to keep them secrets. We're not very good at that, are we? Next thing, too. I will say this. One valid reason, and other reasons that may not be valid, there is one valid reason for a community to react more harshly when it's women marry outside than when it's men do, and that is if the community has been victimized in any way, form, or fashion by white supremacy. When a Somali man marries a non-Somali woman, that is a slap in the face to the people who look down on Somalis. When a Somali woman marries a non-Somali man, that is not a slap in the face to those who look down on Somalis. It is much like when black men marry white women. That's a slap in the face to white supremacy. And that's partially one reason why it was that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go and he would take poor men from not famous tribes and tell them to marry beautiful women from famous and wealthy tribes. He was slapping their sensibilities in the face. He gave no credibility to it. He was saying, I have no respect for your feelings of tribalism. I don't care how long they've been going on. You this man from this tribe that nobody likes, with no money, go to this family with money from this noble tribe, so to speak, and their daughters be very beautiful, by the way, and tell them I said for him to marry his daughter to you. That's what he did. He was not just not a tribalist. See, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was anti-tribalist and anti-racist. He was militant against these things. If you felt this way in your heart, you had residue left over in your heart from this, he came along and he said, absolutely not. I'm going to do the opposite of what you like, because I have no respect and I give no credibility to this. And that's Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, also, other reasons that people may have for this sort of feeling, I don't really care about. If it has nothing to do with justice, I don't care about it. I really don't. I'm just saying that that's one valid concern that the people have, although their conclusion is still wrong. Now, there's one other thing, too. I saw where somebody pointed out that the community also faced another bias, wherein if a Somali woman marries a white revert, then people come to grips with it and they eventually accept it. Whereas if a Somali woman marries an African American or Bantu, even if they've been Muslim from birth, then the community does not come to grips with this. What the hell is this bias against Bantus? See, maybe people did not know this, but African Americans are Bantu. We are the descendants of West and Central Africans. Bantu means every African, with two exceptions. East Africans, who are either Hamitic or Semitic, in other words, Somali, which is a Hamitic lineage, or Ethiopians, which are a Semitic lineage. Generally speaking, the Central Highland Ethiopians I'm referring to, or North Africans, who are partially Bantu, but they're so mixed up. We know what's going on with North Africans. They don't call themselves black, and they never will. North Africans don't say, they call themselves white. So we can't sit up and say that this is that we can't call them a Bantu people anymore, although the Berbers used to be. So therefore, Bantu now includes West, Central, and South Africa, and even Southeast Africa, meaning Kenya and going on further south from there. These are Bantu peoples. It is a very large lineage and language family. Very large. We African Americans were taken largely from Bantu people. So as a Bantu, what the hell is this bias against Bantu people? You see, this happened in Rwanda, the Hutus and the Tutsis being of a Hamitic lineage that was characterized by thin noses. And the Hutus being of Bantu lineage, characterized by larger, wider noses on average. So we saw what happened there. The Belgians had a division they could capitalize upon, and then it led to a genocide and a massacre. And Rwanda is just beginning to heal up from this. Damn it. What is this? I'm going to tell you now. Most of you in the audience, you're of a generation where you're not buying into this, and you're saying the hell with it. So I applaud you for it. I commend you for it. But you're going to have to look at your elders, and you're going to have to say, even if I respect you, you're wrong, and I'm not going to obey you. Straight up. I'll obey Allah, and I will not obey you. And I will not side against the oppressed. I will not side against the victim with some oppressor, or even somebody that I won't even side with someone that the oppressor will accept a little bit more against another victim that they will accept even less. I'm sorry, but your white supremacist attitude's got to go, and I'm not teaching my kids this. Screw you. You don't like the Bantu Somalis? You know what? That's exact. And let me explain this to you too. You're not going to overcome this problem when Somali men who are not Bantu start marrying Somali Bantu women. That's not going to fix the problem. It is when Somali Bantu men start marrying Somali non-Bantu women, the Hamitic Somali women, and nobody says a goddamn thing about it, or they know they'll get the shit beat out of them, that the problem is beginning to be fixed. Because in all honesty, if this is how you feel about them, you all are lucky that Christian missionaries haven't gone into Somalia and succeeded in pitting them against you. You're lucky this hasn't happened. In all honesty. If it were not for the fact, now I understand why Somalia gets the punishments that it gets. If it were not for the tribal warfare between Hamitic Somalis, who are related to each other in the first place, I truly believe that Christian missionaries would have gone in and they would have succeeded in starting a genocide like what happened in Rwanda, which we know the Belgians engineered. Y'all got to watch this stuff. Now, your elders, they're not an audience anyway. But you're going to have to tell them outright to their face, I'm not obeying you. I mean, when you say to do something that Allah said to do, you tell me to obey Allah, then I'll obey you both. But you're going to tell me to disobey Allah, I'm going to disobey you. That's what's up. I've had to tell my parents this is not an easy thing for an African American to say. But when my father handed me some money and said, I want you to go to the store and get me a fifth of Crown Royal. I'm Muslim and he's not. I just had to look at him and say, no, sir. Now, he could have hauled off and hit me. He wouldn't have seen me again, but he could have hauled off and hit me. But, alhamdulillah, Allah inspired my mother to tell my father, Luther, he's not supposed to go get it for you, have it in his car, in his possession, anything. You wouldn't tell him to go get you some crack. So it's the same thing with the liquor. So, the other thing I'm going to mention about this idea of it being a little bit more acceptable if a Somali marries a white revert is this. When whites understand that you all have this feeling, many of them are going to turn to you and they're going to say, to hell with you then. Because oftentimes when they become Muslim, they're real about it. They mean it. They're not playing. So you could very well lose that possibility. If I, as a black man, tell my daughters, you will not marry a white man. Yeah, he might be Muslim, but you won't marry him. And I say this is not because I hate him. It is for your own safety and partially for his safety. For one, his family is probably already angry he became Muslim. He marries you, they may try to kill him or you. No, I'm not taking that chance. Y'all aren't getting married. And I say this for safety reasons, not for racist reasons. Everyone will tell me I'm a goddamn racist. For being anti-racist, many black folks are told, especially by other Muslims, oh, you're still racist. You sound just like a white kafir when y'all say that sometimes. Now, usually, you all in the audience don't say this. But I've had Arabs and Desi Muslims tell me, oh, well, you're still a bit racist. And tell other black folks, well, you're a bit racist. Mainly for being anti-racist, they'll say this. They sound just like white kafirs when they do that. Because that's how the white kuffar are. They can't tolerate anti-racism. They don't say that they're racist. The ones who don't count themselves as racist, the ones who have no hatred in their heart, still cannot tolerate anti-racism. So Tim Wise is a reverse racist to them. Jane Elliott is a reverse racist. You do not want to sound like this. Absolutely not. But yes, it got me angry. Yes, it got me fired up. Now, as for me, I would have no problem personally marrying a Somali woman. My first wife was mistaken for Somali by Somalis. I learned how to say in the Somali language, my wife is from Kismayo, just to get her in more trouble because they would speak to her in Somali and she wouldn't be able to answer them. So I learned, just to play a joke on her, I learned how to tell the Somalis in Somali, yes, my wife taught me the Somali language. She's from Kismayo. And then they would turn to her in surprise and turn to me in surprise at this point, like, so how come you don't understand me? And then I would tell them I'm just playing, she's from Philadelphia. But this first wife of mine even said to me, if I were to pass away, you should remarry. I'd suggest that you marry a nice Somali woman in the event of my death. That's real. That's what my first wife told me. I would have no problem with it. I know that Somali women look all kinds of ways, and oftentimes they're very good looking. Usually I don't like light-skinned women, nor do I hate them. I'm just not partial to them. But I've seen Somali women of all complexions, and they were drop-dead gorgeous. Now, it wouldn't have bothered me, but it's like this. If African Americans feel that they are superior to Somalis, then I have no business going to a Somali woman asking to get married. No. What I need to be doing, if I'm really against this sentiment, I need to be looking for Somali men to marry my daughter, if I'm really against this division. Now, most African Americans I know don't feel superior to them. They don't feel superior to Somalis. Generally speaking, they don't. But if this was a problem, if I moved to a city and I saw that this was a problem, then in order to really be against it, I need to look for Somali men to marry my daughters. And when my people come to me and say, why did you do it? I say to them, F you, your ideas are wrong. What's wrong with what I did? Is it a problem because they're Somali? What, we better than them? No. If you think we're better than them, you've made them better than us. If you treat them like we're better than them, you've made them better than us by treating them this way. It is the person who is not arrogant that becomes better than the arrogant by default. And so therefore, this is really how you fight against these sorts of things. So, if y'all are really against it, go out there and look for some Bantu Somali men and look for African American men to marry your daughters and your sisters in order to really be against this thing. I'm not saying that because I would have loved to marry a Somali woman. No, that's not it. You see, it doesn't matter how I feel when it comes to justice. Because other people around the world generally look down on us, no, they should not be allowed to marry Somali women. They don't respect us. They simply don't. Somali men should be marrying their women so that they are forced to now deal with us with respect, and Somali men should be marrying Somali women. That's what polygamy is for. Somali men should be slapping these ideas in the face. Now, you don't tell me I'm in fear. Matter of fact, if your daughter loves me, I'll marry her and I'll marry a woman from my own country. And you will not marry a woman from my country. This will not work both ways. Now, I had to tell this to some people here where I am in the Gulf. Black citizens of the Gulf are not very proud of what they are. They don't terribly feel oppressed either. They just feel a slight shame in it. But they're not oppressed. But somebody had to say to me, look, they need to start appreciating their heritage, being proud of it, and everybody will have to respect them. Maybe other people will love them, maybe not, but they have to respect them because they will respect themselves. You can't be mad about people calling them slaves if they're calling themselves slaves. That's what he told me. I couldn't argue with him. He was right. The man was militant. And he's not a black Gulf citizen. He's not a black Arab. But he said this to me. So I'm saying this to you. Until other people learn to treat you with respect, their men cannot marry your daughters, your sisters, your aunts, your mothers that are single. This cannot be allowed. Until their communities learn to respect yours. How do you know? It's real simple. Anybody, any man from any community that is not yours, coming to marry any one of your women needs to be asked a question or needs to be given a condition. You can marry this woman from our community. Even if y'all love each other, you can only get married when one of our brothers can marry a woman from your community for the exact same dowry. When that is the case, then we can talk about marriage. Until that's the case, we cannot discuss it. She's going to have to find somebody else to marry, and so will you. And that's when you start telling people, no, we don't accept your ideas of inequality. That's when you start telling other Muslims, don't ruin this relationship between us. Now you force them to check their ideas of inequality, even at a subconscious level. That's what you need to be doing. Indian brother comes along and he's pious, that's great. But you got to tell him, listen, man, you talking about marrying a Somali woman? Hold up. You help one of our brothers marry an Indian woman for the same dowry. And then we can discuss it. It's not because we hate you. It's because we're not going to tolerate even the smell of inequality and unequal treatment coming from another Muslim. That's why. We don't appreciate that. We don't tolerate it. We don't accept it. So no. We're not going to slap racism in the face by you marrying her. We're going to slap racism in the face by one of our men marrying one of your community's women. Then we can allow the reverse. I told the black Arabs here to do the same thing. I don't know what the response has been. But that's really when you start dealing with it. And that's why I say to black folks in the U.S., these black men of any religion running after white women, really just running after any women that aren't black. Some of them have this specific preference. We got to stop that mess. In Africa, we should not allow these we should not allow these marriages of non-African men to African women until the reverse is also allowed. So the Lebanese living there who marry African women need to be checked and told, hold up, slow your roll, darkness. But your wannabe white self. Can this Ghanaian brother over here marry a Lebanese woman? Impossible with it. And you know what? She's coming home to her family. I know y'all love each other, but so goddamn what? We don't tolerate inequality from Muslims. You're not allowed to act this way. We wouldn't tolerate it if you were Christian. We simply do not tolerate it at all. Then at this point, the whole entire community has to deal on a subconscious level with whatever biases they were carrying around and didn't know they were carrying it around. Think about it. Why is it that the Lebanese community would not let a Lebanese woman marry a black African man? You think they all had a Lebanese community meeting on the internet? The Lebanese in Argentina, and the Lebanese in Bolivia, and the Lebanese in Liberia, and the Lebanese in Guinea and Sierra Leone, and in Australia all got together and said the same thing. Let's not allow our daughters to marry black African men. No, they didn't get together and say this. It's in the culture. It's passed on, even subconsciously. Now you force them to deal with this subconscious bias they've got, and you will see how they fold. And same with you, Somalis. No. Don't see. So the real question of intermarriage is going to be, with whom are they intermarrying? No, it's not okay when they're going to intermarry a man from the group that doesn't respect Somalis. It's not to punish that individual who does love and respect enough to marry her. It is simply to make sure that the relationship between the communities does not wind up becoming worse as a reaction than what it already is. It is also a way to make sure that, goddammit, ain't nobody gonna deal with us unless it's with respect. That's real. So that's why, actually, you all should have had the bias in the opposite goddamn direction. Or rather, your parents' generation should have. I'm not fussing at you all. That's not it. But your parents' generation, but you do need to tell them this. You all should have been biased in the opposite direction, not because of bias, but to be anti-biased. Biased against the biased. You needed to be in the opposite direction. You should have preferred that Somali women marry black men. Why? Simply put, black non-Somali men are more likely to treat her better. There's more likely to be a respect in that regard. If you can speak the same language as us, we can communicate. And we'll listen. If you can speak the same language as the Caucasians, and many of you can, they still can't show you respect. You think y'all are doing okay in Italy? Seriously. So, I told my people here, do not allow a non-black man to come and marry your daughters, sisters, aunts, cousins, single mothers, until your men can marry their non-black women for the same dowries. Not just can they get married, but for the same dowry, just as easily. And until that point, you don't let them men marry from your women. You do not allow it. I told them this. Now, I'm real pale, I'm real light skinned. If you implement this stuff, and this catches on to all black people around the globe, and I am then considered too light skinned to marry a black woman, so what? I'm willing to accept this consequence. I'm willing to tolerate this if we start respecting ourselves and forcing other people to respect us, or take a chin check. Make them choose between the two. You gonna respect us, or we gonna check your chin? Make your mind up. If we do this, the Somalis, other black folks that ain't Somali, start doing this, start implementing this. So hold up, slow your roll, bro. You want to marry my sister? Okay, well, she may love you. And I don't have anything against you personally, but your community is not going to allow the reverse to happen. And until they change their mind collectively and allow this, we're not allowing it. You're saying hatred against you, but your community's crap. Because they racist and they want to be white and they side with the oppressor against the oppressed, and we're the oppressed. We can't tolerate this mess. Can my brother marry your sister? Can I marry your sister? Can I marry your aunt? Can I do that? For the same dowry. Okay, I can? Okay, now we can talk about marriage. Now you can come and sit down and meet with her and discuss your conditions of marriage. Oh, I can't? Sorry, man, we're not allowing it. We're not even going to inform her that you came to ask us. No, sir. When this happens, across the board, when everybody looks at black folks and says, you know what, if I fall in love with a black woman, I can't marry her until one of them marries my sister or my aunt, then they're going to understand there's some respect. And it's not because I want to marry a non-black woman. I like black women. Black women. In the bed and outside the bed. I like black women. African Caribbean, African American. That's what I like. I just so happened to marry a light-skinned woman from Africa. And I'm very happy. But even if she says, you know what, you ain't black enough. If this catches on, and she looks at me and she says one day, you ain't black enough for me. Well, I'm through with this, and we need to have some more. We black folks need to start having more black babies that know they're black and they're proud of it and appreciate it. And you can't do that, but everybody else starts to get more respect. It's worth it. I'm telling you all to do something that may cause me to become seen as unsuitable for any black woman in the world. If it catches on fast enough, still do it. Do it. Start telling folks this. No, this ain't happening no more. No more of one until the opposite is available. Start dealing with this, start telling them this, and you will see they ain't gonna all like you. My friend who's not black yesterday, Arab, told me, when you all start showing that you love yourselves and you respect yourselves, other people will love you. I had to stop and tell him, man, I agree with everything you said except that one thing. I know you comparing the black movement to the gay pride movement in the States because you studied there. I know that, but you don't realize the devil, and that's another thing black folk got to realize. There is a shaitan. He's invisible and he's our enemy. He's mankind's enemy, but he hates us more. None, for no reason other than that we look the most like Adam and Eve, and this is known in Islam. But I had to tell him, when people start accepting the gay community, nobody's going to come out, the devil's not going to go to them and say, hey, you know what, you're an idiot for accepting them. How could you accept them? Look how inferior they are. The devil's not going to do that. It's homosexuality. The devil likes that. He's going to say, yeah, see, look at all the good things about them. That's what he's going to go to them and say, because by them accepting this stuff, they're going astray. When the gay community marches and has a pride parade, the devil's not going to go to them and say, don't go to the parade as a spectator. He's going to go and say, go to the parade as a spectator. Show your support. Now, black folk come out and start saying we love ourselves and we respect ourselves. The devil's not going to go around and he's not going to not respond to it. He's going to go and whisper in everybody's ear, even black folks' ear. These niggas, these low down, poor, broke, dirty, dusty, sandal wearing, flip flop niggas got the nerve to. How could you tolerate them? Don't they make you mad? He's going to whisper this hatred into their hearts again. So we have to understand this. And I had to tell my man, look, bruh, no. If we come out and respect ourselves and love ourselves, other people aren't going to start loving us. What we have to do is start loving and respecting ourselves and not give a rat's behind that others aren't going to love us. They ain't going to, but we just need to not give a rat's behind. We need to start loving and respecting ourselves. All we need from other people is respect. However much respect they want us to show them, they show us, and we'll get along fine. That's what we need to understand. We love and respect ourselves, and they still ain't gonna love us, but they have to respect us or we'll check their chin. That's the mentality that we got to have universally across the board for black folks. All of us got to have that. Because there ain't no racism in Islam. We know that. Allah made us equal. But since people can't accept that Allah made us equal, they make themselves worse than us by not accepting us as equal. That's what people fail to realize, that the hadith, one that does not even mention white people, it mentions black and red. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his last sermon never said the word abyad. He said ahmar, which they now translate as white. What the hell does that tell you about their mentality? Secondly, you got to understand that he said there is no difference except in taqwa. Well, now, if you say that y'all are equal and they say, no, I'm better than you, who doesn't have taqwa? Well, now, this nigga ain't got taqwa because he thinks he's superior. He made himself inferior to you. You need to understand and realize that this nigga ain't your equal. That redneck hillbilly, Jim Bob Thornton Confederate flag waving, inbred redneck trailer trash that calls you all kind of N-words and everything else and jungle bunnies and spit chuckers, he's not your equal. You are better than him. Not because you're black, you're better than him because you accepted him as an equal until he turned around and said you're not his equal. You're better than him because he threw taqwa away, because he made you better than him by saying he was superior. That's why. That's what makes you better than him. You might not be worth a dime, or you might be worth $1 million, morally speaking, I mean. But when he says I'm better than him because I'm white and he's black, God damn it, he became worse than you because he's racist and you weren't. So now we need to start coming out and saying, God damn it, we can't be racist. But the oppressor is always inferior to their victim. We need to have this mindset. The oppressor is always inferior to the victim. Always. Black folks need to understand this shit. Sorry, I shouldn't have said black folks need to understand this. So now the black folks need to understand this. Once they start understanding this across all national lines. And we the Muslims should be the ones to lead in this idea. Hell no, a racist is not your equal. We need to be the ones to lead in this idea. When we Muslims lead everybody else, when a Muslim in Jamaica is the one who explains this concept to the Muslims and the Christians and the Rastas in Jamaica, and the Muslims in Somalia explain this, and the Muslims who are from Kenya for generations start to catch on to this idea too, then all of a sudden people will realize, okay, goddamn it, other Muslims who ain't black will start to catch on and realize, oh wow, if I don't make sure that I don't harbor racism in my heart, then they become better than me. I'm gonna tell you now, we all got some things that irk us. All of us do. I don't have a problem with Egyptians because of their blood. Their DNA ain't the problem to me. It's their culture and their mindset. That's what bothers me about Egyptians. But I got to make sure that I'm willing to treat them fairly. And I always remember that they are equal to me until they do something to make themselves better or worse. I gotta be ready to admit this. And if I meet an Egyptian who's better than me, I got to be ready to confess this, that he's better than me. Look what he did that I couldn't do. Look at the patience he has that I couldn't have. I got to be ready to confess this, or else automatically they all become better than me. I gotta be leery about that. I gotta be careful. It's the same with them. Don't let these racists convince you that they can call you inferior, but y'all are actually equal. Don't even let them leave you thinking that no. Then the other Muslims who look down on us, they have to start thinking about what they're gonna say. They gotta start questioning themselves. And if they don't come to the right conclusion, to hell with them, because they ain't your equal anyway. That's what we got to understand. Marriage takes care of itself if we start applying this the right way. I hope that what I've said has been of benefit. Assalamu alaikum.